Hey everybody, this is Jason from Rideshare World. As I said in my other video, my launch video, which was just a short, I think, um, I'm going to dive into exactly how much we're all making as Uber and Lyft drivers, and point out how I see us getting taken advantage of. So we're going to turn to our trusty friend here, ChatGPT. It tends to give you straightforward answers and is all about the numbers. And we're going to start off by loading some rides that I did not take from yesterday, which was September 9th, 2025. And we're going to see exactly what ChatGPT says about these rides. And we're going to dive into it pretty deep and see exactly what these rides would have paid and if they were worth it. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and upload some. Oops. Go ahead. I'm going to upload some information, mainly the images, and we'll start there. Let's see. I think this is from yesterday. Is it? I don't see a date. All right. Anyway, let's go ahead and move this. Photos. There that is. We will upload it, and we'll ask ChatGPT exactly what we need to know about this ride. Now we didn't give any any other information other than the image, and we're going to see. Let's see, Parkway Drive. So I can tell you already this right here is wrong. It's saying IRS is 67 cents a mile. So let's update ChatGPT. All right. All right, let's see. Trip details. Recap 39.4 miles. Time 1 hour and 18 minutes. Pay $36.88. Earnings with a 70. Okay, what is this? Vehicle cost 27. Profitability. Net profit per mile. All right, so according to ChatGPT, I think they're a little off. I think they're wrong. I would have made $7.15 an hour, which is far below the $15 an hour minimum wage here in the state of Maryland. Now, I understand that we are exempt from minimum wage because we're not employees. We are subcontractors, okay? Which I don't understand how that is, because here in Maryland, all this for hire stuff is all governed by the Public Service Commission. And as an Uber or Lyft driver, I can't simply go and drive private. I can't go and pick somebody up privately and drive them from the college to the airport or anywhere for that fact. That's breaking the law. So if I can only drive for Uber and Lyft, how am I not their employee? They control everything about it. And they even, with this new Advantage Ride thing, take money away if I don't listen to them. So who knows? Something has to be done because it's kind of ridiculous. All right, so let's go back to ChatGPT's answers. It says what this means. If you don't care about getting a return trip, this pays poorly. Less than minimum wage after expenses. If you do care about, if you do get a return trip from Vienna, your cost is spread out and the math improves. For example, if you got another 40-mile ride back at a similar rate, which I can assure you, it most likely would not be a similar rate. They know you're driving back home. Their AI algorithm knows pretty much where you're going to go before you know where you're going to go, and they're going to lowball the heck out of you and throw you a really, really low paying fare if you get a fare at all, because they know you got to drive home. Okay. People, stop calling me. All right, let's see. What does this say? $18 to $20 net, 2.5 hours, $7.50. Still not great, but better than going back empty. I love ChatGPT's optimism on this one. The smart play: only take a long trip if you know the drop-off areas in high demand, downtown DC, Arlington, Tyson's Corner. I would say don't even take a downtown trip to DC, and simply because it may only take you 35 minutes to get to DC, and you may only have 2 miles left or a mile left to drop that person off once you hit DC, and it takes you 45 minutes to go that 2 miles. It's kind of a joke down there. I don't know how anybody makes money, but they do. All right, so basically, it's what I thought. So let's try the next trip and see what we get out of that one. We'll go ahead and add a photo in there. Please take a look at this trip. All right, Glen Burnie to Severn. I can't stand going to Severn. I don't know why, I just don't like the traffic patterns down there. Total miles, 9 miles. Time, 18 minutes. Pay, $7.84. Earnings with 2025 IRS rate. Net profit, you cannot make this up. $1.47. Profitability, if you could do enough of these rides, you would make a whopping $4.90 an hour. On its own, this trip is not worth it. Well, no kidding. You net less than $5 an hour. Okay. It only makes sense if you're a moron. But if you have half the sense God gave little green apples, you're going to say no to this trip. Let's see. Bonus. Yeah. Uber don't pay bonuses that often anymore. It seems like they take it away from you on the back end. So even if you were to get a surge on this trip, your next trip or your next 5 trips might be, 50 cents light. So it adds up and it pulls that money back, in my opinion. At least that's what I feel like it does. I could be wrong, but, drop your comment below and let me know. Do you feel like when you get a ride that has a surge, even if let's say it's a good surge, let's say it's $15, $20, and you get that ride, do your next 5 or 10 rides seem like they're really, really low? And, for me, I feel like they are, and I feel like it's because that's Rideshare's way of pulling back that money that they gave you without you knowing that they're pulling it back. I would love to be able to dive into their algorithm and look at their code, especially on Apple. I don't know nothing about the code on on Google phones. I don't know React Native. I don't know React, but different story when it comes to Swift and Swift UI. That I know. I'd love to look at their code and see exactly what's going on in that algorithm, and seeing if there's if statements that say, hey, if driver X gets this amount, next 10 rides, subtract this. But that's all proprietary, so we will never get a look at that. All right, let's try one more and see what our friend GPT has to say about this ride. Let's see. Let's do this one. This is a long one, and a lot of people would look at this and say, "Oh, $53. You're smoking dope if you think you're making any money on this ride. I guarantee it. I'll be shocked." All right. Do your magic, GPT. All right, let's break it down. So they're a little less, and that's another thing. I've noticed a lot of times they say that you're 1.7, 1.8 miles away. Lo and behold, when you drive it, if you stop your odometer and restart it, you've driven 2.1, 2 miles, or at least that's the case with my situation. 58. Why don't they just round this up? 1 hour, 13 minutes. Total drive, 60 miles, $53. All right, so look, you're driving a total miles of 60 and you're getting paid 53. You're far below, okay? You're far below $1 a mile. I was going to do some quick math, but I'm not, because I think most of you get this. All right. You're making a whopping 18 cents per mile. You would have averaged $8.05 an hour. I wonder if that includes your drive back. Let's ask it. Good question. The numbers I gave you did not include the drive back. How did that go up? Okay, here it is down here. $8 you gave earlier only applies one way. With a return deadhead trip, you actually lose money on the ride. You see that, everybody? You lose money on this ride. And let's be honest, how many of us are going to get a trip back? You could sit out there at an airport all day long and you may not get a trip back. Chances are you're not going to get a trip back. I have done that a couple of times, and usually not for Uber. One time I can think of it right off the top of my head is I had driven my wife and daughter to Dulles Airport because they had a flight going out. And I decided to stick around after I dropped them off and drive, hoping to get a drive back. I sat there for 4 hours, and never got a ride back. I could have taken rides to all over the place in Virginia. Now, granted, some of them may have gotten me closer to home. I don't know. I don't know the damn cities in Virginia. I don't know if I'm going home or not. They could be sending me to Southern Virginia. They could be sending me to West Virginia. I wouldn't have a clue. So I didn't take any of them. If I didn't see, like Annapolis or Baltimore, I wasn't going to take the ride. So 4 hours later, sitting there twiddling my thumbs and doing absolutely nothing but watching TV on my phone, I wrapped things up and went home, and I turned the app off. Why? Because every time you turn around, if you leave it on and you're coming back from Virginia, it wants to pull you into D.C., and then it wants to send you all over the place. And it's just not worth it. The time you get stuck in traffic around the Beltway, and I don't know where everybody else is driving, but if you're driving in a major city, I assume that you're having the same traffic issues that we're having here in Baltimore and Washington, which is traffic is horrible. It's not worth it. All right, so this is actually the first video where I dive into the numbers. And I'm going to go ahead, and I have lots of these screen captures, and I'm like you, I'm out here driving every single day. And I'm going to continue to screen capture these rides, and I'm going to continue to point out, and I don't want to be the angry Uber driver, okay? I don't want to be like some of these other guys out here are screaming and telling people to get angry. I'm not saying get angry, I'm saying get smart. The only way these prices are ever going to change is if we stop taking the rides. Plain and simple. When we stop taking these rides, maybe, just maybe, with any kind of luck, we will start getting offered better rates, and we'll go from there. All right, well, I'm going to click the end button on this video. I hope you guys all have a great day.